In this video, we're going to be looking at the Test Modeler Scanner for page object generation. The Test Modeler Scanner is used to extract element identifiers of a web page and register them into Test Modeler. This is particularly useful when a web page is available with a well-formed document object model with good identifiers and attributes associated. Static components are usually best suited for the scanner and not dynamic components where there are random identifiers which change every time the page is loaded. The Test Modeler Scanner should not be used on generic pages on a website. While it can be, it's actually more efficient to go away and write one generic page object, repeated items in your system, like a product page where you may have many products, but you could have one generic page object interacting with that page. Also, when the web page features a bad form DOM with no static identifiers available, this is usually not a good candidate for automatically extracting identifiers. Okay, so let's scan some objects. Okay, so we're just inside a page here that we're going to scan. We can come into the Test Modeler extension here. The first thing we need to do is select the project we want to work with, and we're going to select the tutorial project here. We're then going to hit the scan button, which is going to put it in the scanning mode, and we can then hit scan here to actually start the scanning process. And we're literally just coming through here and clicking on the objects that we want to scan. Now I can hit the shift key at any time to pause scanning, and then I can click on stuff to actually do that click action. This is particularly useful if I want to go through drop down menus or other pieces where I need to perform some interaction. So that's just hitting the shift key, and you'll see the state of the extension turns to red when we're actually logging actions. Now we'll pick up one of these extra fields here for the assertions. We'll come back into our extension, and as you see, we've scanned 7 items here. We can hit pause or we can hit stop. Pause is going to obviously pause the scan. If we hit stop, that will put it in the stop state. What we should do before we upload anything is we should come in and review the objects that we've scanned. And we'll see here these 7. And we've now got a few options of what we can do. If we scan something accidentally, we could come in and delete it by hitting the little cross here. We can open these up and we can inspect the items. So we can see here we've got the first name attribute, any documentation that was picked up, the identifiers that have been extracted. We can tag the type here that we want to perform. So we could do mark it as a link, as a select, as an input. Perhaps we want to perform an assertion here or hover over it. We'll keep it as an input. We can also select which level of the DOM that we want to use for this scan. So here we're going to use the input element, but we could go up the hierarchy here. And you'll see as I'm selecting these, we're getting different fields and different identifiers being pulled out. Now what you'll also notice is sometimes we get warnings. And these warnings are telling us that this identifier is probably not very good. Warnings can be hashed across the name that we have here. If it's an auto-generated name, that's not very good. Across the identifiers, and also any iframes or shadow DOM elements which may exist. So before we do an upload, we should always come in here and we should take a look and review what's been scanned and fix anything that doesn't look correct. Now we're going to update one here in particular, which is this error message, and we want this to be treated as an assertion. So we're going to change the type here to exist assertion, and this is going to get uploaded as an assertion into Test Modeler. So we'll save our review, and then we can perform an upload. We can select where we want it to be saved. We can change the name of the object that we want to be uploaded. So here we'll call this our registration process. Mark this as our home, and we'll click upload. And what we'll see here is our page object has been uploaded, and this is the ID of our new page object we've created. We're now going to review the scan. Now we're just inside Test Modeler here. If we go to where we uploaded, we'll see we've now got 2 files. We've got our object repository, which has our objects and we scanned and the associated identifiers. And we've also got our module here, which is our implementation layer. And in here, we've got the actual functions that were created from that scan. So here we've selected Java, we've got a path, this is our class path that we have, which is fully editable, and we've also got our functions down here and with our parameters as well. I will inspect these a little bit closer later on in the video. Let's take a look at the code template and how we can extend the types of actions we can register in Test Modeler. Okay, so if we take a look at the module here that's been generated and do a download, what you'll see is sat behind here we've got automation code that has been created for these page objects. Now this code has been generated using code templates in Test Modeler. If I come to the workspace and go to configuration, we can view those code templates. Here we're using the Java Selenium framework, and we'll see this is decomposed into two. We've got a page object and we've got a code template. We're going to focus on the page object template here. If I open that up, you'll see the code that's been used, and we've got our different tags for different types, and also different functions we can perform, like a click, select, sending keys, assertions, entering an iframe, etc., etc. Now we can come in here and we can edit this at any time. So just for example, I could come in, I can add a little comment here. Let's select the send keys. We'll add a comment in here. And we'll say this is James's function to send keys to a web element. We can save the changes. We can go back to our model view, and all we need to do is do a regenerate on this module object, and what we'll see here is those changes have been reflected in the underlying code that's been generated. So here for our enter text, we've now got this comment embedded in our enter text actions. So the code templates are a central repository which dictate how these items are created. Now what you may find from time to time is you want some custom actions in here for custom UI actions that exist in your particular platform that you're testing. Here we've added a new custom type for hover. Now the current template we're in is actually read-only, so we need to firstly have a template that we can edit. To do that, we're just going to copy the existing Java Selenium one we have here. So we'll come in and say new template, and we'll call this Java Selenium James, because it's going to have my latest changes in, and we'll copy this from our Java Selenium code template and hit save. We'll then just edit the framework here so that this points to our new object that we have. So we'll call this James's Selenium. Hit save. And you'll see that that reference has been updated for this framework. Now if we come in here, we can edit this code template. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to add a new custom type in here. And we'll call this custom type James's custom function. We can add any parameters we need inside here. We can add a return argument if we need to. But the crucial bit is we can now come in and we can add a custom function in here. So we could say this is going to be public void James's custom function. And in here we could have some code to perform the action we need. Now to create this function is useful looking at the existing functions to get an idea of the code templates that are available and the different keywords that can be picked up, like function name, the object name to get the element identifier, the driver, etc., etc. So it's pretty useful to look at existing ones, copy and paste them over, and then edit them. But here we'll stick with this. Now if we come in and we do another scan, so let's scan some new elements, and let's pick up an input here. We'll hit stop, we'll go to review. What we'll see is from this drop down now for the type we have our new custom function available. I can select this, hit save, I can upload it, we'll create a new object here and we'll hit upload. We come back to Test Modeler and take a look. What we'll see is inside here we've got our custom function first name. If we do a download, what we'll see is that we've got the object that we scanned, but we've also got the custom code that we embedded in here as well. So this is a nice way to expose reusable actions that you can tag and use in the scanner and then propagate through to your automation code that's been generated. We're now going to map multiple interactions to an item. Now one of the pieces that you may find is you may want to have multiple actions assigned to one object which you've scanned. Now to do this in Test Modeler, you can open up any of your object repositories. So here we've got the object of the registration screen that we scanned. And let's say for the first name field we want to add some new actions in here. We can hit the edit button, we can go to linked actions, and here we can assign any and multiple actions that we want to. So obviously for this field we're going to want to input text. We may also want to be able to click the input, and also we may want to be able to come in and assert that it exists. So here we've got 3 distinct actions which link to this one element. We can hit the save button. If we do a regenerate here, this will update our linked module. If we come to this module now and we take a look, we'll see for the first name we've got an assertion, we've got a click, we've also got an enter here, and we'll see that that is also apparent in the underlying code that's been generated, where we have our assertion, we have our enter, and we have our click. So that's how we can assign multiple actions to one element. Let's think about change management and rescanning objects when identifiers change. Now what you will often find is identifiers will change over time, or you may want to add some new objects to one of the page objects that has been scanned. Now in that case what we can do is we can use the extension to go in and rescan any components that we need to, or any additional ones that we want to add. So we'll add a new one here for the email validation. We'll see we've got our 3 items scanned. We can hit stop, go to review. So we've got the first name, the last name. We'll add this one as our email validation message. And we'll say this is of type assertion. We'll hit save, we'll do an upload. We're going to select an existing object to upload to here, which is our registration screen. We'll hit the upload button, and here we've got an option to merge the page collection. Here we can map any object we've scanned to any existing one in that object. So we're going to update the identifiers for our first name, update the identifiers for our last name, and add a new object to this object repository for the email validation message. We can select this, hit upload, and that will perform the merge. And if we now look inside our registration screen, we'll see that we've got this email validation assertion in there, along with our page objects identifiers updated with the latest, which we just scanned. Finally, we'll think about change management from the object repository level, updating identifiers and updating attributes directly in Test Modeler. Now from time to time you may need to come into an object inside Test Modeler and manually update it, because the identifier that has been auto-generated is not very robust, or just because you require to manually override what has been created. To do that, you can come into an object repository, you can click edit on any of the objects that have been scanned, and you can update the names, the types, the iframes, the shadow DOMs, the linked actions, and also any associated identifiers. Here we could come in and we can update these identifiers. We may remove some, or we could change the ranking of what's used to give preference over other identifiers. We can hit the save button to update those changes, and then we just need to hit this regenerate button to go off and regenerate our page object with these changes that have come through. The other change that we may want to make is changing the path and location, and also type of object. You can come in here at any time into your module, hit the edit button, you can change the module type, the framework that's been used, and also the path of this object. So for instance, we could come in now and change this page object to a C# one, hit save, do a regenerate, and what you'll see here is we've now got the C# representation of this underlying page object in C# code. Thanks for watching this video. Visit testmodeler.io to start your free trial today.